always get picked up on camera.
Yeah, no, I think um yeah, there's and my favorite part about that, I'm not this is might sound pretty bad coming like from a guy, but I mean when I say this I don't mean it bad like this. There's all the women and stuff on TikTok and shit that are like, "Oh, we fear for Taylor Swift's lives now." Y'all don't
Right.
understand sports, man. Y'all don't understand sports. Like, please don't. Now you're starting to make it look like what everyone said. Like, she's bringing in the fans that are going to ruin football and all. Like, stop that, guys. How many times me
Right.
and you got into it together? Well, not into it. Me and you have been back and forth when you coached me growing up, even in high school
Right.
when I was playing AAU for you.
Right.
It's just
When
part of the
two
sport. It's
people
passion.
really want to win, right? Care about it.
Yeah.
They're competitive. That's it's just not a big deal. And you made a good point about the all the. I think people have made way too much fuss about um, the Taylor Swift thing because ultimately it's good for the NFL and it's good for the sport, right? But that
Well, yeah.
you're right about that. Is you got these people that know absolutely nothing about. You can tell who played competitive sports and who didn't because these people are losing their mind. And it was I don't know. I just thought it was just a little heat of the battle thing. He was upset and he said his piece and it was over with.
Boy, I don't know if you listen to New Heights. I don't know if you ever listen to their podcast, him and
I
Jason Kelsey,
I
which
watched their
this fucking
clips on
week's
TikTok.
episode, go fucking watch this week's episode if you haven't and listen to
Okay.
it. It's fucking hilarious. Because then he goes on Jason. Then I don't know if I sent you all the clips about Jason Kelsey talking about how Kylie Kelsey come downstairs while they were
Yeah,
doing the
yeah, yeah.
podcast, started telling them how the night went about how Jason was out with the fucking mask. That dude is felling like that dude has become one of my favorite people, like favorite celebrities ever.
Yeah, he is. He's
He's
a
just
really
fully
likable guy.
embraced
And
like
then
brother.
you 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 put and you know what I like Travis too. And a lot of people hate on him because of the Pfizer stuff and all that. And I guess that's fair. But my point on all that, and it always has been, is you do what you want to do, and don't worry about what I want to do. And I don't ever recall seeing anything. I know he did the Pfizer commercials and stuff, but I don't ever remember him coming out publicly and like do this or you got to die. And he's not going out to the club, and neither is Taylor, like wearing masks and staying away from people. They're interacting. You know what I mean? So if that's your belief, that's fine. Just don't try to force it on me.
Yeah, no, and that's what it is. I mean, I think that's everybody's situation then. Um, but I mean, like Derek said, if you get the chance, go back and watch that because it's fucking is a good episode this week. I don't usually watch it, but I seen those clips and I went and watched it. And he and Travis ends up talking about the whole reason I brought it up more is because Travis goes on to talk about how he got pissed off and like about that situation with Andy Reid.
Right.
And it was water under the fucking bridge. There was nothing that came of it.
Yeah. Anybody that's played 10 minutes at competitive sports knew that was over as soon as he walked away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and even Travis said, "Yeah, I shouldn't have got into him. I didn't really mean to get into him like I did. Like how he bumped him and like lost his balance. But I mean, that's like I said, that's just fucking passion. But what is up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tall and Taller. I know we've been live now. We have talked pretty much just about Travis Kelsey, I guess, and Jason Kelsey. A little bit about the Super Bowl, Taylor Swift, all that fun stuff. But we'll go right into the Super Bowl recap. Since we're already on that, Chiefs go back to back for the first time since the Patriots did it 2004, 2005. Um, the Chiefs are. I hate to fucking say it, but Chiefs are starting to look like a. We got rid of the Patriots time frame, and now the Chiefs are here.
Yep.
Dynasty wise, I mean, it, it was a good game. I think there's a lot to talk about, whether it's from um, apparently nobody still knowing the overtime rules, um, or
Right.
which is just that to me didn't start. I guess we start there because their overtime rule thing to me is they made a big deal. The Chiefs made a big. Who was it? The Bills or the Chiefs that made a big deal about it after the AFC Championship game like 2 years ago. We're like in the playoffs. That's why it's changes in the playoffs, where each team gets a
Yeah,
fucking
Bills.
chance to
Yep.
score. But that was made such a big deal to like throughout the NFL that there's no way it's been in process for 2 years now. Like, come on, y'all should know this that it's different in the thing. And I didn't realize it because I might have been a little gone during the game, but two, we I didn't realize like, hey, if the Chiefs didn't score there, the game was over. I thought it was just going to go into another overtime at the end of the game. Right there at the end of the game when they scored like 3 seconds left.
Yep.
If the Chiefs wouldn't have scored a touchdown or a field goal there, it was over.
So and that makes sense. That's not what I read in the day or two following. What I read was they would have got to continue on with zero time on the clock until they ran out of downs. So that was going to be one of my talking points, and now I don't know.
Well, you could be right because honestly, that was me what I just took off the game and what I've heard recently. So I don't.
Because I remember looking in live time, and I don't know the pro rules in and out like I know the college rules, but I'm thinking, holy shit, they gotta hurry up. And then after the game, and I think the day before, I'd read what I just said, and I thought, then if they're gonna get another chance, right? Why even have a clock? It doesn't make any sense. Why even have the clock run if it's basically turning in, if that clock expires, it's basically turning into an untimed possession, right? Which I think's fair, because if the clock is on it and San Francisco gets the ball first, and they did eat up a lot of that time, but why not do a Jim Harbaugh old school drive and run the clock down to nothing and then kick a field goal with 3 seconds left, and then they don't even get a chance. And I think that's probably why there's a no time on it, but why put a time on it anyways? Each team gets a possession.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's what I'm trying to figure out, if that's actually the. There would be traditional coin toss, same shit. Which teams win the coin toss? Yeah, cool. Both teams will have an opportunity to possess the ball. If the score is tied after each team has possessed the ball, the game becomes sudden death and the next score wins. If the team kicking off starts overtime scores, okay, I don't care about that. There are coaches, challenges, timeouts. Well, this doesn't really. All right, well, that doesn't really help my answering there about whether or not it is. I could be, like I said, I that's just kind of what I've thought, that it was over after that, because they had their opportunity. I mean, it was third down anyways, wasn't it?
I think so.
They had their opportunity to score and they didn't score in that amount of time. But I mean, I don't know. I could be that's one thing that is confusing to me, at least on that portion.
Yeah, and just I think a lot of people were making a big deal about the San Francisco didn't know, and shame on Kyle Shanahan. Well, these guys are professionals and they get paid millions of dollars. They should be aware of the overtime rules, but I don't really think that it had an effect on the game, or it could really have an effect on the game. I thought it was a bold move that he took the ball, but I think he was thinking, hey, we're going to put 7 on your ass and put some pressure on you. But I don't know. I just thought there was a lot more made about it than needed to be.
Yeah. I mean, but that's where I was going to go next, was talking about Shane. I mean, the Chiefs were happy. That's one thing. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it. The Chiefs were happy that they got the ball. I mean, that they wanted the ball first. I mean, That's been always the mantra in any kind of football is you want to know what you got to get
Right.
rather than knowing.
And I
Uh,
get that too, but I also like I just said, I'm kind of the mindset that, hey, let me try to put some pressure on you instead of the other way
mhm.
around. Let's if we get 7, now the pressure's on you, and yeah, you got to get 7, but and maybe go for 2. And Mahomes had said that they had determined before the game if they got in that situation they were going for 2. So it wouldn't have made a difference anyways if San Francisco scored a touchdown, and maybe if they got the ball second, if the Chiefs scored first and went for 2 and didn't get it, then they know they just got to score the extra point, right? But it's fun to talk about, but just like a lot of things now, I just think everything's way overblown.
Oh yeah, no, everything about it was, and I mean, you can go back to. I was going to talk about this being kind of added on to um, the Lions situations against the Niners in week in the NFC Championship is
Yep.
why not go for it? Um, if you're the Niners in overtime, why kick the short field goal and still not try to put 7 up? I mean, I get why, but if you're gonna be aggressive, I
Right.
mean, be aggressive about it. If you're gonna take the ball first, take the ball. I mean, 3 points against the Chiefs. I mean, it's just it's the Chiefs at this rate. You can't set it up. I mean, to let the NFL decide the game. Then that's sadly probably what I think also happens. Because I read this stat. I don't know if it's 100% true. I read it somewhere, heard it somewhere. If it is true, it's insane. Do you know the Chiefs in 3 straight Super Bowls? Cool, this is their 3rd straight. Haven't had a fucking holding call.
So
How is that
I
even
see
possible?
I seen that too, but I seen it on Twitter for a couple of days. But then this morning I seen a stat and said, you know what? People are really going about this, and this is their 4th Super Bowl they've been in, right? In 6 years, I think.
Something crazy. It's something
Yeah,
weird, like crazy.
because they've won 3 now, right? 3 out of the last 5 or something, and they
3 out of
lost
the
1.
last 7.
7. Okay. So, anyways, they posted like the last from the Chiefs' first Super Bowl recently till now. They've had not any holds, but like combined, all the other teams have gotten like 4 holding penalties, 5 holding penalties together. So the truth of the matter is that they're just not calling holding in the Super Bowl unless they absolutely have to. Is what I took out of it. And you can go with your scripted WWF stuff. Um, I certainly wouldn't bet my life or even a lot of money that it's not. But my biggest thing is okay, you've got thousands of guys that are in and out of the NFL, hundreds of guys that are in and out of the NFL every year, right? And a pretty large amount of people would have to be in on it for that to be the case. And you're here to tell me that nobody has leaked that. I just don't see it, but whatever. And the other side of me is that, and I don't watch it like I used to, but I still have no problem with it. I knew from the time I was 8 or 9 years old that WWF which was what was big back when I was a kid, what was fake, and I still love the hell. I love to watch it. You know what I mean?
I still watch it to this day. So
And the
it's
biggest
entertainment.
right, and that's why we watch sports, right? For entertainment. The biggest problem for me, if it is is the gambling aspect now. Is that these guys are all raking everybody, making it look like fair play. When the outcome's already determined. But how do you, if this outcome was already determined, how does that punter bounce that ball off San Francisco's Achilles to make the return man have to
Yeah,
grab.
but I
You know
know,
what I mean?
yeah, no, I know, and that's like the stuff. Like, so I don't know if any sport was to be like if any like professional sport was to be like scripted, football would be the easiest one to do it in.
I think basketball would be the easiest, but fair enough. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah,
semantics at that point.
because baseball would be way too fucking difficult unless
Baseball
unless
would be
everyone strikes out or I
right.
mean, a lot of those people can hit where they want, but I think that's baseball's too difficult to do it in. Um, Hockey's the same fucking way, in my opinion.
I mean, baseball. Why you can't just bang on a trash can when you know the pitch? You know, I mean,
I mean, but that's cheating. That's not.
how do you know that wasn't part of the script and it just got uncovered? So they put a scandal on the Astros so that it didn't get blown up that Major League Baseball is fixed.
I I doubt that.
You
Once you
telling me
go,
there's zero chance?
I'm not saying there's zero chance. There's always a chance of something.
And that's all I'm
But
trying to say.
I mean, it is what it is. Um,
I don't think you can say with 100% certainty on any sport that it is or is not somewhat scripted. But I also think if the NFL was scripted, that the Lions would have made the Super Bowl this year because that was pretty much from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. That was one of the main NFL storylines, right? And what a better way to wrap up the Super Bowl than having the shitty Lions who have won one playoff game in 70 years and never even made a Super Bowl come in and win the Super Bowl. What's a better storyline than that?
a better storyline is that the fact the NFL made the Lions good again, just so all the fans would get hyped up and start spending money. Spend more money,
So
bring in
why'd they
more
wait
money.
50 years just to do that?
Hang
Why
on,
don't they give them a
hang
good year every
on.
4 or 5 years?
They did. They sent him to the playoffs in like 2012 or 2015, something like that. I don't know, early 20s, 2010s. I don't know.
Right, to get blown
Um,
out by 50.
Still made the playoffs. Um, See, you did this on purpose. Now I just lost my whole fucking train of thought. What the fuck I was gonna say? I don't remember. Same old lines.
It's not the same old lines. Unless it is scripted, then it is. But I really don't think it the risk of being found out, the amount of lawsuits, especially back to the gambling, right? There would be so many agents, class action lawsuits against them um, for not fair play. It would violate antitrust laws. I mean, just on and on and on. And
Mm-hmm.
and again, the older I get, the more I buy into a lot of these conspiracy theories, and you know the system is rigged against the average working class guy, and there's more and more evidence of that every day. And that would just be another thing. So, like I said, it wouldn't absolutely floor me or shock me, but man, it would be complicated to pull off, and it would be way more complicated to keep a secret. So the WWE doesn't openly talk about it, or WWF or whatever, right? But everybody knows, and they
Yeah.
acknowledge that.
They openly talk about it. A lot of
Yeah,
people openly talk about it now, especially older wrestlers.
yeah,
Um, I mean, I've listened to the Undertaker on multiple podcasts and like Rogan and stuff like that, where he's talked about openly like, hey, I like when they sit there, they have conversations while they're like beating the shit out of each other. All the physical part of it's real.
right. Just the
It's just
outcome's predetermined.
yeah, it's just hey, you're gonna do. They whisper to each other. All right, now do this to me or do that,
Yep.
and that's what it's like I said. It's entertainment. And that's exactly what it is. And I mean, if shit, 26-year-old me still watches it like I did. Well, probably not like I did when I was 10 years old, but
Right.
especially now that it's on Peacock and I get to watch all the fucking big events and shit like that now. I'm like, cool. I don't gotta pay $100 to watch it. Just take
Right.
my $6 a month and here you go, Peacock.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, everything's entertainment at this point. Oh well, if it is, it is. I just think it's funny. It's just a fun fucking argument.
It
I think
is.
if it's
And
fucking,
then,
I mean,
you know, if you want to go down that rabbit hole, if the NFL is, then everything is, I think, right? Everything. Uh, and so is that, and I'm just talking out of my ass now, but is that why uh, Michigan, all this stuff come out against Michigan, the suspension for 2 years ago violations, and then the Connor Stallions things is they weren't. Did Michigan beat the script? Is kind of my point. And Harbaugh said, you know what, we're not playing by your little rules. We're gonna go do our own thing. So, um, fun to talk about, wild bullshit, though, for the most part.
no, I was one last thing. Did you see after the game? Will Compton had like posted something on Twitter about all the NFL's rigged and shit, just to be
Yes.
a troll,
Yeah,
just because he played in the NFL and all that shit. And like, dude, people were losing their fucking minds about that.
I know. I almost brought that up when we first started talking about this because I did see that and laugh.
It was like, dude, those boys are fucking funny. First off,
They are.
that's all I shit. Um, but yeah, talk about the game. I mean, the game all in all was lived up to Super Bowl hype. I
Yeah, it was a
mean,
great game, right?
it it was super slow in the first half. Like I was like, great, we about to have another like Patriots Rams Super Bowl in 2018 or whatever it was, where it was 13-3 at the end of the game or whatever, and I was like, great. But then they started scoring, and it made it. The second half was way more entertaining. Um, I mean, from I don't know. I picked the Niners. Niners didn't win. I mean, sadly. But I mean, I guess it was destined 58. This is something I meant to say that I fucking seen on Twitter. I mean, you've probably seen it at this point too. Um, I meant to say this in the podcast, and I was gonna go with the Chiefs, but I kind of forgot about it just to do this. It's Super Bowl 58. 5 + 8 is 13. 13
13.
is Taylor Swift's lucky number. I was like, motherfucker. I literally, it popped back in my head as soon as we got off the podcast while I was uploading shit. And I was like, fuck. I was supposed to fucking pick the Chiefs so I could do
So
that.
there was a lot of 13 things, from the conspiracy
Yeah.
theorists out there that were saying, and I mean, I wouldn't. You can't. A couple things have been proven, right? You can't trust. You can't trust our government, right? You can't.
Oh. And that's what I thought you were going to say. Anyways, keep going.
You can't trust the mainstream media at all. They tell you what they're told to tell you, and what they think you want to hear. So we are lied to. I knew that's what you're thinking. My point is that we are lied to by the people that we put the most trust in on a daily basis.
I've given up on giving trust to people like that.
So yeah, it just the people of authority, from our president to, like I said, all the news networks. I'm not just and or just Fox or just whoever. The newspaper stuff. There's so much that's not reported that should be, and stuff that's misreported, and stuff that's overreported. So, I just don't trust that. I think we're lied to much more than we're told the 100% real truth. Um,
I
and
honestly don't think that any big media outlet. I think there's your smaller ones that are only on like Facebook and stuff like that are the more trustworthy ones. I mean, I know this is not really sports related, but I think the bigger media outlets are what you just don't. I don't think any of them tell the whole truth and nothing but the
No,
truth. Like there's no and
and,
I'll even go as far. I'll go even as far to say like Sports Center and shit's the same way.
yeah, for sure.
Like this isn't just Fox. This isn't just CNN. This is every big major media, Washington Post, Sports Illustrated, whatever the
New
fuck
York
you want to say,
Times.
anything big like that. Which Sports Illustrated still fucking owes me 2 fucking copies of Michigan's national championship thing that I still haven't got.
So,
Anyways,
like, we're gonna go too far in the down the rabbit hole for
mm-hmm.
this, so I'll just shut up about it. But yeah, you can't believe everything you read or hear, and the bottom line is that leads me back to what I've said a few times already is about it just wouldn't shock me. Um, you know, they're doing this. Look over here while they're reaching on your right side and dipping into your pocket. So
Mm-hmm.
so
And what'd you
whatever.
used to do? What'd you used to do to me as a kid? Fucking put your hand up like this and smack me with the other one? Yeah.
So I do that to Mila now. When she's finally after about a month, she's caught on.
Oh shit. I'm sorry, poor kid. Oh, hang on. Yeah, no, you're right. Ba, 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 ba. I was pulling something up. I don't remember now. But I mean, like I said, we'll wrap up with this. I mean, Super Bowl's a Super Bowl. It was a good game. I mean, Patrick Mahomes did Patrick Mahomes things. Christian McCaffrey, I mean, had his time too. That was the main reason I really wanted to see the Niners win was to see McCaffrey, and I wanted to see, I mean, Mr. Irrelevant win a Super Bowl. And what
Yeah, and that would have
year?
been a great story, right? And
But
Kyle Shanahan, I think he deserves one. And something that I hadn't realized though is like he's been part of some of the biggest choke jobs in Super Bowl history, and
he's been part
uh,
of the biggest.
yeah, I guess I didn't realize or I had forgotten that he was the OC went for that Atlanta debacle. Um, but he seems like a decent dude to me. So I mean, I'm an underdog guy, right? And I'm not a Chiefs fan. The only time I've really been a dynasty guy is when the Patriots come on and 95% of the country hate them and still do because they've done so long. And that's kind of where the Chiefs aren't there yet, but they're working that way. Kelsey's probably got 2 more years left in him, and Mahomes, as long as he doesn't get hurt, probably got a good 10 years left in him, and you know there's a decent chance he could match or maybe even beat um, Brady's thing, and I hate that. He's a great player, but I think he gets his comparisons right now are way too favorable. Yeah, he's had a great 5-6 years in the league, but you know, injuries.
And that's the thing is, I don't think his body can hold up as long as Brady's did. Brady won a
No,
Super Bowl 2 years before he retired.
right. He got the same
Officially
kind of
retired.
body that Brady does, though. So maybe he
Yeah, but
will.
he runs too much, and he does wild shit as a quarterback, which is fine. But I don't think that his body. I
Right.
don't think that
No.
his body's gonna hold up like Brady, who played till he was 40 fucking 1 years old or whatever, 42.
Yeah. Yeah. How many guys have played at that high level for that to that age?
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Tom
I mean,
Brady.
like
That's the list. So
if we get 2 back to back, that's insane.
right. And not saying he couldn't. He seems to be a likable guy. Does things the right ways. No scandals. No nothing. And that's fine. But would I'm just like everybody else. I hate to see one team dominate for so long. I want my Lions to get at least one before I kick the bucket.
Same old Lions. Until it happens, I don't believe it. But anyways, all right. Speaking of the NFL,
Don't you dare jump on that bandwagon when it happens.
well, Lions will ruin that for me again, so it'll be okay. It'll be all right. I don't think it will because I don't think they're going to be good again for another 50 years. And they had their one shot, their one opportunity to seize everything they ever wanted at one moment, and they blew it. But like I said, it was a good game overall and all. But speaking
Yeah,
of the
good
NFL,
entertaining game. So halftime show, what'd you think?
trash, absolute
Yeah,
trash,
and I didn't love it.
absolute trash,
I didn't hate it
trash,
either. I didn't. I didn't think it was horrid. But most
ass.
people that I know feel like the exact same way you do. So, I mean, whatever.
And I also never like really listened to Usher, so
Yeah, he was hot really before you were born and when you were a baby. You know, I mean, I know he's had a few, I guess, hits since then, but
I probably knew a total of 3 songs in that whole entire lineup, the whole entire playlist.
yeah,
But I mean, that's fine. It's just not the music I listen to. I mean, I listen, and pretty much it's all the music that's like his club music, the shit they play in clubs and things like that.
right, right.
Like yeah, and confessions and shit like that. I mean, it is. I did. I wish it. Who the fuck's at my door? I wish that they would. Um, fuck. I wish that they would. I don't remember what the fuck I was gonna say. It's something to do with that. I don't remember it. I just completely blanked my mind. Um, there was more better. There was better people that could have been. I mean, nothing's really. I mean, the 2021 Super Bowl with Eminem and all that. I mean, nothing that that very well could be the top Super Bowl performance ever back then with Eminem, Snoop Dogg,
Yeah,
Dre,
And I'm
50.
not even really like a Prince guy, but
Well, yeah, it's
Prince's
just
halftime show was great. Pink, I think Pink put on a good one. J Lo's was okay, and that none of
Creed.
those are really my type or style of music, but they were, they were good shows.
Yeah, and just for man, I wish they would mix in other genres. Like honestly, because it doesn't it, like I mean, it really does seem like that recently. It's been more of like the rap side of music. Who was it? Who
Yeah,
was the Super
so
Bowl show last year?
there and there's so much. There's so many paid performers in the crowds to cheer and things of that nature, but
Oh yeah,
you
because
know,
yeah,
there's
because Rihanna was last year. Yeah, 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 yeah. Fuck, did I touch something? Son of a bitch. Hey guys. Hey, I don't know what I did. I think I hit a wrong button. I'm wait till he joins back up. May or may not be my fault that just happened. Oh, all right. Well, never mind. I was about to say may or may not be my fault that happened, but he just lost power. He said. Um, Give me a second here, guys, to message him and find out what's going on. Just lost power. Oh, Super Bowl, guys. I mean, I think we all watched it. I think we all loved it. Um, Super Bowl halftime show. I think we all talked about it. This is what it is. I really want to get him back in here. So I really, really, really hate the fact that he went out because he was in the middle of a good point about Super Bowl. And we are at 35 minutes into the show. We need to. There we go. Hang on. All right, guys. He should be joining here in a minute. Um, one thing I personally want to top on, I guess, while we sit here and wait, is prayers to all the families affected by the shooting that happened during the parade slash celebration prep rally downtown at Union Station. Prayers out to all of them. We'll probably mention it again. Um, but yeah, guys, prayers out to them. I thought that I accidentally hit a wrong button because I accidentally hit escape
Oh,
as soon as you disappeared, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was in the middle of texting you like that may or may not have been my fault, and then as you said, "Power lost power," I was like, "Delete, delete, 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 delete." Not my fault. Um, I don't know. You were talking about one of the halftime show things. That's what you were talking about. No, just while I was trying to kill time, I just talked about.
yeah. So my point in that is in my area of the country and in your area of the country music is very big, right? But they just don't seem to want
And that's kind of where I was going with that was when was the last time a country music act had the Super Bowl halftime show?
I can't recall one.
I mean, they a lot of the times they do
Sure, there
like
has
this year
been,
and
but
last they do like the national anthem. I mean, this year Reba did it. Last year Chris Stapleton probably did the best national anthem ever.
third
Um,
best. But yeah, it was great.
mm, mm, damn, that'd be on a good topic to do. Top fucking yeah, we're doing that next year. Hell yeah. But I mean, and that's the thing is that I think you go anywhere outside of California and New York, all the big cities. I think country music's probably primarily the music people listen to nowadays. Whether it's fucking pop country or whether it's like legit country, I mean, it is it's still music and it's still that vibe where why isn't someone like as big? Morgan Wallen's huge.
Right. So
Luke
Shania
Combs
Twain
huge.
did it in
God,
2003, and I was thinking
she
she did it, but 2003, 20 years ago, 93, 1993. Well, no, he just sang the national anthem. So and 2000, Faith Hill did it. Guess Carrie Underwood did it in 2011. So there's been a few, but
Carrie Underwood didn't do it by herself though. Are you sure these aren't like? There's no way Carrie Underwood was a halftime performer. I don't remember
that's what
that.
this
And that was from
that's what
2011. You
this
said,
says. Say that again.
and you said, and that was 2011. You said
Yeah, trying to get back to it. I was scrolling down and my screen froze. So
Madonna was in
as soon
2011.
as I said I didn't recall anybody, I thought, man, Shania did it a long time ago, and she did. So there's been a couple, but mostly from what I'm reading here, um, they've either been out there to sing "America the Beautiful," the national
Yeah.
anthem.
See, Underwood did the national anthem that year.
Yeah, yep, I got that now. My screen unfrozen. I read it wrong.
Because that same year was the year that Madonna did it. That Madonna did the
Okay,
halftime show. Um, yeah, but I mean that's anyways. That's the point is that I don't know why people like even if you don't want to use country music, fucking shit. Even use Zach Bryan. Zach Bryan's huge now.
yeah, but the point is so. Let me ask you this: Do you consider Taylor Swift country or pop country?
I don't consider her country at all. I consider her pop.
And me too. I think she started off
She was in
a little,
country. Yeah, she was in country music for like 3 years, and now she's been pop ever since. So,
right.
I mean,
She's evolved, but I just don't think because the Super Bowl is a worldwide audience, right? I just don't think that music transcends the whole world like rock and roll and pop does, and that's probably part of the reason why they're not done. But um,
Yeah.
and we will do this next year, but I want you to go because you've probably never listened to it. Go on YouTube and and search out Marvin Gaye's national anthem, and then Whitney Houston's national anthem, and
I've
then
listened to Whitney's.
Chris Stapleton's and
I I haven't listened
Stapleton
to
was
Marvin Gaye, but
great, great, right? But he's solid number three. No one will ever top Marvin Gaye's.
no, I haven't. That's one I haven't heard Marvin Gaye's, but um,
And you probably don't even know who that is, but still.
I do know who Marvin Gaye is. Thank you. Um, all right. Let's see. You probably know this. I don't know. You probably know it from the TV itself, but damn, you know what I meant to do that I just thought about? Should have wrote down our favorite commercials, but the commercials this year really weren't that good.
No, I like the
My
Duncan
favorite.
one
Go ahead.
with
Yeah, I was so. Yep.
Brady and Matt Damon and Ben F.
Yeah, my favorite one, like about, is probably the State Farm Arnold Schwarzenegger one.
Yeah, that was good too.
Neighbor. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean that's like the only. Those are really like the only two where I was like, oh okay. I mean you had. Nah, we won't even go down that road. Um, they weren't like what they should have been. I mean, like what I think they used to be, unless I just grown old and they aren't funny and cool anymore.
no, the last 5 years or so, they've really went downhill. Last year, I don't think there was a single one that like really made me chuckle. Where like the Super Bowl or the Dunkin' Donuts one did, and the Arnold Schwarzenegger, and there's another one that gave me a really good laugh. I can't think of it right now. But still,
Yeah, no, there was quite a bit that was where it was still good, but it wasn't like it's been.
right.
The shit we used. I mean, even like when I even 10 years ago was funny, and you watched it for the Super Bowl. I don't even remember that the commercials are new anymore for the Super Bowl. I forgot that until 5 minutes before the Super Bowl kicked off. Um, that and the other thing I was going to say was, do you know the Super Bowl is like the sixth most watched, or not even that? I think it's less than that. Like I think it's like seventh or eighth most watched sporting event in like all the world. It's
Yeah,
not even like a top five.
I'm sure
World
the
Cup's
World
number one.
Cup. Yep.
Men's and women's are 1 and 2. Men's and women's World Cup is 1 and 2. But I couldn't tell you what the other stuff was in between here and the Super Bowl. But it's that's why I was like, I figured it'd be at least top five, but no, it's not even
I'm a
top
little
five.
bit
I think.
surprised that I'm a little bit surprised it's not at least top five because it is such a worldwide event. But I'm not shocked that it's not one at all.
Yeah, that's just something else I seen. I seen that during the Super Bowl. Like I think they talked about it. It might have been on Twitter during the Super Bowl. Um, but yeah, I mean, with the Super Bowl, like I said, that's I don't really have anything else for the Super Bowl talk at least.
No, me neither.
Um, it was a good game. I know we think we more talked about the fun aspects of the game. I mean, me and you didn't really have a pick or choose in it, um, so we'll move on to Michigan Saturday conversation. A lot, but like nothing really big has happened this week. Like super big that I think is going to hurt us or kill us. Um, Michigan announced that 18 players have received combine invitations. So one being Zinner. So 17 players will participate because I know Zinner's not going to be ready probably by then. Um, That's an NFL record, NFL combine record for most invitations. We knew Michigan was going to come out strong this year. Um, Another
Yep.
thing that happened: Jaden Smith, 4-star linebacker. I think he was linebacker. Was released from his NIL from the University of Michigan, which so be it. You don't want to be here,
And,
dude.
and
That's fine.
that's
Don't
that
don't. And that's not hating on him either. That's just saying you don't want to be here. That's fine. Give him his NIL back.
right. And that I feel like that's the right thing to do, right? Because virtually the whole coaching staff is gone, especially on his side of the ball.
Yeah,
We're all starting anew, and that's fine. But I was reading something last night that like he hasn't dropped us out of a contention yet. He just wanted to be released from his letter of
yeah.
intent.
He probably wanted to go talk. He probably wanted to go talk to other people, and
Yeah, and
I mean
you know,
that's what college football's turning into. It's stupid, but
yeah. On the flip side, I do think that losing Keon hurts, um, but
yeah, that's where I was going next. Keon Stab left.
there could have
Um,
been,
yeah,
yeah.
but he was going to rotate again this year.
Right, but he showed a lot of promise towards the end of the season. It really showed up in the was it Bama or Washington national championship game, right? Um,
Yeah,
my
but like
point
and
is
then
he was up and coming, and he was going to play probably a pretty
mhm.
significant role, even though he was going to rotate, and
There's going to be
and he was
rotation between him and Makari and Rod.
right, and fair enough, but to me, and there's still plenty of time for it to happen, right? But to only that is the only player that we've lost so far of any significance. And you look
Yeah.
at say like Bama when Saban left, right? There you could have walked in that whole football locker room and had to walk around to find somebody else to talk to. It seemed like, um,
But I think having Sharon Moore as like becoming the head coach is definitely a big part of us keeping as many guys as we have. I think if
and
we would
that's
have
where
like
I was going with is a tip
completely,
of the
yeah,
cap to Sharon because he's done a really good job keeping the team together. It appears, anyways. Right, shit could still go off the rails, but also he's done a hell of a job putting a coaching staff together, I think. And we had the guy from the Texans that was going to come, and then um,
now we got Lamar Morgan. Now supposedly Lamar Morgan. That was my last little point that I was going to read
yeah,
off. Lamar Morgan from UL, University of Louisiana Lafayette,
yeah,
was a defensive coordinator. Was a defensive back coach under Minter at Vanderbilt. So
right.
again, somebody who's been in the system, somebody that
Somebody
knows the
recommended by
system.
Mentor. He was a finalist before we went with that other
Yeah.
guy. So
The
my biggest concern. I know I told you privately. I'm pretty sure I said it on the podcast too. Was that did Sharon have the connections to put together a good staff? And the answer is yes to me so far. And I mean, the proof will be in the pudding once the season starts. But you know, I I find it hard to believe that he expected to lose as much as he did to Harbaugh and to the NFL. And he's done a really good job.
no panic, no nothing.
No,
Unlike probably not 99, but probably like 50% of our fan base is losing their fucking minds every time. Every time someone leaves, like who just left the other day? Someone just left like last week, and it might have been when we did the show last week where someone left. But everyone's like, there's the people freaking out. Like, guys, he's built a roster that personally has me feeling if we can get a quarterback, I don't see why we're not competing for a Big Ten championship again next year and being a playoff team.
yeah, yeah.
I
If
really think that this next year now is going to come down to quarterback play again, which I fucking hate to say because God knows that's been my fucking lifetime.
right, and you know,
And who's it going to be? That's the thing. It's coming down to it.
so to make the playoffs, to not to win the playoffs, but to make the playoffs, I think we need a quarterback to have a Cade McNamara level
Yeah,
of play.
someone that's
We
not going to
we
beat you,
don't need
lose you games.
superstar, right? We need you to make the smart plays and not hurt us. Um, and then go on from there. But we're losing. We've lost our whole offensive line, right? Just about um,
Half.
half. So we got Dono back. We got
Pretty
uh,
much all of it. Yeah, you're right. Because 4 out of 5.
yeah. I was thinking so. So you know, but we were really deep there to begin with. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Fun to talk about and speculate, but um, I still think our floor is 5 losses, and I think our it's possible that we go undefeated. I don't see that happening. I think we'll lose at least one, but um, one loss for sure in the Big Ten gets you in the playoffs with 12 teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're pushing probably 2 losses in the Big Ten is probably pushing a playoff spot, and that's being on the edge. Like, hey, you're going to be coming down to that exact day,
Right.
that selection Sunday. Whatever. Are you playing a video? Is you got ESPN pulled up?
No, I don't got nothing pulled up.
That was weird.
Yeah.
What the fuck was I saying?
Two
What was I
loss
saying?
team in the
Oh
playoffs.
yeah. So I mean, you have the two. If you're going to be on that Sunday, on that selection Sunday, you're going to be sitting there waiting, and
Right.
you're going to be,
And
hey, am I getting in or not?
that depends on what everybody else
How the
does too.
rest? Yeah,
You know, if there's a year like this year where there's only 2 undefeated teams and 6 teams with 1 loss, there's going to be 20 teams with 2, and then it's sitting there. Like you said, it's sitting there. I should be in, but Florida State should have been in too. So there'll be no guarantees. But I could even see a scenario where a 3-loss team would make it.
yeah. Depending on what happens, say you win. Yeah, say you go 9-3, you play in. I mean, fuck, LSU made the SEC championship with 3 losses not too long.
Right.
Say you have 3 losses and you make. I mean, and now that I guess divisions are going to be gone, because I think the SEC is doing the same thing. It kind of takes that out of perspective, I guess, unless there's still. It kind of takes that off the out of the table though, unless the whole conference goes 9-3. I didn't really think about that till just then. What I was going to say you have a team like that LSU team that wins or the Iowas that win their division or win their
Right.
conference.
And that's where I was kind of going to was, hey, a 2-loss regular season and say a conference championship loss. I wasn't thinking about those going away, but
Yeah, 'cause
I
I'm pretty
still
sure the
I still
SEC
think it
teams
could
are going to.
happen. But just be dependent on how the year as a whole was for college football. Um, it's going to be fun to watch it play out. But I just did a quick about Mike Hart because I've seen nothing. He's still on
I haven't heard
Michigan's
shit. So I know
page.
he's
He's
still
still
on
listed
everything.
on their staff.
There's a lot of stuff, a lot of rumors that he could be going down to Alabama. There's rumors, especially. I mean, Nick Sheridan just got announced. You remember who Nick Sheridan is? Quarterback,
Yep.
got like 2008, whatever. Rich Rod's first year.
Yep.
He just got announced as Alabama's offensive coordinator.
Yep.
I mean, there's some connections there, I guess. I don't know, but they're really. He's been pretty much silent. Everything about there ain't been rumors by anybody big like Adam Scheffner or anything like that. It's been
Right.
just pretty much radio
That's
silence from.
what
I don't, and
scares me.
it could be health issues. Like it really could be. I mean, you remember
And it could be, but there has
2 years.
just been absolutely nothing. And I'm leaning more towards the health issues because, like you said, no insider stuff from anybody, from on a national level to even Sam Webb and some of those other guys. I've seen very little, and I don't think I've seen anything at all in like 2 weeks. So just got my wheels spinning because, and I don't think from a coaching level thing, I think he's done a tremendous job. But I don't think that that's like a backbreaker to lose him. But he is arguably my favorite Michigan football player of all time. So I would hate to see him go just because he's a Michigan legend and a Michigan guy through and through. So,
And like I said, everywhere he's gone, he came here. He turned to what
right,
running backs, and all of our running backs really, from Haskins to Blake to Donovan. I mean, he's turned them into 1,000-yard rushers. And Atlas, shut up. But yeah, I mean, that's probably somebody that I think. I don't know if it'd probably be more on a personal level, not personal level, because I don't know the dude, but it would be more for myself. I would feel like myself would feel really shitty about him leaving, just because like I've talked about every time I think we talk about it. Mike Hart was the player that I grew up watching, that I remember being one of the first running backs that I remember at Michigan playing football. For the 06 team, for the 05, when the whole time he was there, really, but
right,
for really the 06 to 06 season was the season that in my head I remember all about. Like I remember it, like I don't, it's not like just a blur, like the few years before that was. I mean, it is. You don't know what popped up? Hang on a second. You know what popped up on Twitter the other day, and I thought about it really funny. Sorry to change the topic real quick. Is that somebody posted the highlights? I don't know why, from that Michigan Northwestern game back in like whenever the really fucking cold game.
right.
Someone had
I'm
posted
not
the fucking
cold,
highlights.
Dad.
Someone
Lips
had
are
posted the
perfect.
highlights to it, and I just started laughing my ass off.
That's when you earned your badge. That game right there, man. So, offensive Mount Rushmore. I'm gonna go a little different here, and I'm probably gonna pick a quarterback. Um, I think I'm gonna pick two skill players and maybe three skill players and an offensive lineman. I think you could probably use it all on skill players fairly easily, but I want to kind of keep it
That's
fair,
that's kind of
fairly
that's kind of this before you even said that. That's kind of what my list looks like too.
Yep.
Um, I mean, I guess I probably should have put these in order. You want to start at 1 or 4?
I don't really have an order. I think because especially since we're doing it the way we're
Yeah, I guess
doing it.
it's Mount Rushmore. Yeah, so we can just go down the list. I mean,
So Tom Harmon's my number one, or my first pick.
yeah, mine too. No, you can't put a Heisman Trophy winner. You got. I mean, that's the thing is, I mean, Tom Harmon's in there. For me, is definitely number 1 pick. Desmond's then my next step. I
And
think.
yep, Desmond's on my list.
Um, I think I'm gonna. This is. I mean, I feel like we might have the same list here. I
We
think.
probably
Who's your?
probably close.
Especially because you said I'm gonna use skill players, a quarterback, and are you counting Harmon as your quarterback?
No.
That you said.
I
Okay.
mean, I know he
I know
played a little
Harmon.
bit, but he's a
Harmon
running
played
back to me.
fucking everything. He played
Right.
everything. That's why I asked. So next one I have. I mean, at least next on my list. It's not in order. Braylon. I think we talked about that last week too. Is that Braylon's on the offensive side of the
Yeah,
ball?
I mean, you
Cake.
know what? To me,
He's the receiver that him and Desmond are the receivers that you know at
yeah,
Michigan.
I don't think you can name 10 better college football receivers than him ever. I just what he did, and a lot of it gets lost in his lack of success in the NFL, and his drunk rants on Twitter and things like that. But what he he was unstoppable
Yeah.
um, in college. He just was. Um, so I have debated in leaving him off my list, but yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you can leave him off the list. He's a he's a product name of Michigan. He always will be.
Yep,
I mean, he's right up there with product name of the Fab Five
yep.
and all the big players. Charles. Um, I mean, it's just who he is as was as a player. That fourth spot, I'm going with the big
Steve
old.
Steve Hutchinson.
Oh, oh, okay, good. We don't have the same list. I think Jake Long
And Steve
deserves that.
Hutchinson,
That spot.
Taylor
It's
Taylor Lewan, and Jake Long were all in my
if
mind.
if Lawan would have had a better, which I'm not putting this on Lawan at all. Lawan was what, a top 15 pick still. Um,
Yep,
if Lawan would have had a better playing career, like Long did, like record wise,
sure.
Lawan came in and at Michigan and was the worst. He'll even say it to this day on he talks about time. We sucked when I was at Michigan.
Yeah,
And I mean, they did. That was Rich Rod. That was Hoke. That was Hoke, not Rich Rod. That was
right,
end of Rich Rod, start of Hoke. He talks about all after the first 2 seasons, all he did was fucking party and do drug blow and all that shit. And I'm like, which allegedly, but
right.
that's just. I
Yeah,
mean,
I just
someone like
think
that someone that talks about that kind of stuff, and you see where the program actually was back then, and
right.
it's just not was not good. But I'm glad that we didn't agree on the lineman part because
Yeah, and you could have picked any of those three, and I could have picked any of those three, and um, Dan Diedorf is another one.
yep,
Jumbo Elliott. I almost feel ashamed to leave Diedorf off there because he was a 2 or 3 time All American and an NFL Hall of Famer. Um, but I was too young to watch him play. Um, uh, Jumbo Elliott was just a monster. That was the prime of my watching stuff, and you had a great. I think he's an NFL Hall of Fame guy too, if I remember right. Um, but yeah, it's impossible to narrow it down with four, and I think that other than maybe Harmon, you could have a completely different list than mine, and I would really have no argument. I think Harmon belongs on there because of everything he played and being Michigan's first Heisman winner. I just think that solidifies his spot
mm-hmm.
to me. But like I said, you could have an entirely different list, and I don't think you'd be wrong.
No, you could argue a lot. I think on the defensive side, we talked about it. It was more solidified. Like, hey, these names are kind of hard
Yeah,
to go
I
with.
mean,
I mean, the
you could
offensive side. I mean, you have your Braylon, you have your Desmond, but really after that, I mean, I guess
you could make
not
an argument for JJ, right? You could make an argument for Henny. You could make an argument for Jimmy. You can make an
hard.
argument. You could make an argument for Denard. Just in the modern stuff. I felt really bad leaving Anthony Carter off there, but I feel like Braylon deserves to be above him. I mean, there's just
I mean,
there's just so much.
you could make a spot. I mean, you could put Corum on this.
You could, you
I mean,
could,
there's definitely an opportunity where you could have because I mean he broke every rushing record he
yeah,
ever really was at Michigan.
right. Mike Hart,
Yeah, Hart. I mean him and Hart, and that's one thing I said. I said from the time that Blake come in is I compared him a lot to Hart when he come in like early, and I also compared him just because his build was I don't. I'm not saying the whole name, but um, from Ohio is J.K. Dobbins. When J.K. Dobbins was at Ohio State, he's built the same fucking big old thighs, big legs, and is
Yep.
just a fucking human bowling ball. And I mean that's somebody. It's just great players that I compared him to, and I think Blake has a good. As long as he can stay healthy in the NFL, I think he can be a really good NFL running back. Whether it's NFL running backs don't last 15 years anymore, but
Right, and that's the thing. But I think that the Lions' emphasis, the NFL, well, all pro sports, they run in cycles, right? The style of play and things that they use and things like that. But um, I think how the Lions drafted Gibbs early last year, and then he had some pretty good success. That might change some teams' way of thinking. But still, as you said, the average running backs career is what 3 or 4 years. So um, I hope he does great. And that's one thing we've had a lot of great running backs, but we really haven't had anybody that's had tremendous success in the NFL as a running back. Anthony Thomas would probably be the most successful in my lifetime. Hart got hurt. Um,
I mean, really offensively, I mean, Michigan really is, other than linemen, skilled players wise, Michigan really hasn't had very many in probably the past 10 years. I mean,
Not a lot.
You're seeing Nico Collins break out now,
Yep.
which that just fucking, that irks the shit out of me. Irks the living shit out of me because I knew that was him. That's the exact player he was.
Yeah.
Is that he came here and I'll go down and fucking Shea Patterson. God damn, dude. I think I hate him, and I don't hate the dude. I'll take that back. I don't hate him, but I dislike him more than I dislike like Stephen Threet and shit like that from like Rich Rod era.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tate Forcier. It just pisses me off the way that he would just make stupid fucking mistake after stupid fucking mistake. Whatever. Dude's having a good career in the fucking CFL right now. Cool, whatever. But still,
Right.
don't. We wasted DPJ on him. We wasted fucking goddamn Nico. We had the wide receivers that we'd all been wanting for so long, and the dude couldn't fucking find them. And then we had Joe Milton come in, and yeah, well, story writes its fucking self at that point.
Right.
I don't know. That shit just pisses me off. And now we're back in the same fucking situation as we were fucking 2 years, 3 years ago.
But we got a natty out of it, so
I know.
that's okay.
I have to tell myself that a lot.
And me too, to be honest.
I'm like, dude.
We got something out of this one, right? The last time that downswing, we didn't get shit out of it. So at least we got some benefit out of it. And
3 Big Ten
is what
championships.
it is. I mean, I don't think that anybody anticipated Harbaugh leaving's not a shocker, right? Or any of that stuff. But I don't think anybody anticipated the combination of everything. The Harbaugh leaving, taking so many people with them, some guys leaving earlier than expected, but that comes with team success. That's just part of the deal. So it's if someone would have told you 2 years ago, 5 years ago, hey, we'll give you a natty, but you're going to lose your whole coaching staff and 2/3 of your starting roster, you'd be like, bet. You know what I mean? So it does suck, but at least we got something out of it. Unlike the Rich Rod and Hulk eras, we went from Carr to Rich Rod to Hulk and got nothing but our brains bashed in and our hearts broke for 10 years. So we can hang our hat on this for a good 5 years, anyways. For it.
I mean, Ohio State fans still hang on to theirs from 10 years ago. So
right.
And they make the rules.
Definitely a bummer. Definitely a bummer. But
yeah,
we'll
it
see.
is. I don't know. It is. The one thing that isn't absolutely crazy to me is not really to do with Michigan football. It's got to do with um, got to do with the college football playoffs. It didn't have to do with Michigan. Sorry, is that through what the 10, 11 years, 10 years of the playoffs so far? Only 6 teams have won a national championship. 7 teams, whatever,
Right.
however many it's been. 6 or 7 teams. I mean, you have Auburn or not Auburn, Alabama, Georgia,
Yep.
Georgia twice, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan, and LSU.
Yep.
Is that 6? Yeah.
And so that is really personally satisfying to me because, and I know it probably did too, because it really burned my ass when they got there before us and they won one before us. And then it really, really burned my ass when Michigan State got there before us. And then I felt better that they got beat 148-0 or whatever Bama did to them. It was horrible. But I'm really glad that we won one under the original CFP
Top
structure.
4. Yeah.
Yeah. That just,
In my opinion, that's it. I mean, that's going to be harder. A lot of people in my opinion, the top 4 is the hardest, is definitely probably the hardest to win. I mean, you're getting the top 4 best teams, really. I mean, the
right.
majority of the years you were getting them, so you're going to have to play the best to beat the best. A lot of people are saying with this whole 12 team, oh, you aren't going to see upsets like you see. Everyone's just going to get blown out. Well, the top 4 teams don't even play until the semifinals. They get to bye straight into the
Right.
quarterfinals, the semifinal. So it don't even matter. They're still going to play the best team to come out.
Right. And you got
And
momentum and a team can,
the fact that, go ahead, sorry.
a better team can have a bad day, right? And that's, I think that we'll see them. To people that say that, I say look at the men's basketball tournament and what happens to the top seed and the upsets, and sure the talent disparity is probably a little bit bigger in football than it is basketball, but um, I think it's going to be exciting. I don't think it needs to go. I would hate to see any more expansion than
I would be
that.
cool with 16.
Yeah,
I
but
think
then
you bump it out to 16, but
you're
that's
for
about
sure
all I want to
you're
see.
seeing 3 lost teams in there for sure. I think then, and I don't
Yeah,
know.
but then that's the thing. But with with these 2 divisions or 2 conferences, with the Big Ten and SEC, which is looking like going to turn in probably another 5 years, going to be 40 plus teams in each division, in each
Right.
conference.
In
I
5 years
mean,
from now, or maybe even watching a season or two of the 12 team, my opinion will change. I'm not saying that
yeah,
it should never, but just right now, without even seeing it go through one round yet, um, to me, 12 is the right amount.
dude,
But
could
you
you imagine? Well, I guess they'd probably start it sooner than what they do now. Could you imagine a Michigan home game and a quarterfinal in like the middle of December?
know,
Because like that's the thing, all the quarterfinal games are home or
right,
home games for teams.
right.
Dude, a playoff game in the big house, something that means most. You're playing a big team.
Playing a Bama or even an Ohio State again for all
Oh,
the marbles, right? Holy cow!
real quick, I know we need to wrap this show up. This is a really good question, and it could go for another 30 minutes probably. Is with this new setup, I don't know if we've ever talked about this. At least we probably talked about it together, but I don't think we've talked about it on the podcast. With this new setup, with how the top 2 teams go to the playoffs every single year, or the top 2 teams are going to the conference championship every single year. No more divisions, no more anything. One, do you think the game needs to be moved from that last weekend so they don't play back to back? And 2, do you think it will be moved? So do you think it needs to be, or do you think it will be?
I think it probably will be. I don't think it needs to be, but I also, if say Michigan's 12-0 and Ohio State's 11-1, right? And we know we're playing them again no matter what, right? no matter who wins this game, we're playing them again. I think, maybe the team that has the leg up might sit down some players to rest up for the game that really matters. And then I think that takes away from the importance of the rivalry. And if that happens, that will be the final blow in college football as we know it, because that to me is one of the biggest factors that separates college from pros is the rivalries, in particular our rivalry, right? So I do think the rivalries will suffer because of that. Um, but at this point, it's just part of doing business, because I think that uh, a lot of the changes have no stopping that. But if you go back to whatever it was 7 8 years ago when we went to divisions, right, there was a lot of talk of Michigan and Ohio State not playing at all, and they figured that out. But I guess I just don't know is the answer to both your questions. But I do think uh, definitely yes to question two. I think they probably will move it to try to
Does
keep the
it?
significance a little bit more. That's
That's what I was about to
probably
ask.
that's probably the only way to preserve that. Um,
And it for sure loses significance if it's not played on that last week, right?
oh, for sure. I think the only way you keep that close is that keep it as close to that significance as possible is to play at the very first game of the season, because if you lose that game, your season is not looking great the rest of the way. Put it. I think that's the best possible solution. Is
Hmm.
it's either last or first, because here you are, first day open of the football season, and there's a awful lot on the line, right? So it's
Yeah, I didn't.
pretty significant.
That's a good point. I never. That's one thing I never even thought about was putting. Like I said, like you're starting out your season, you lose that game, you're. But again, it could make it better if it's up there too, because if you lose that game, you probably get pissed off and want to play him again. I mean,
It may
I
be,
think that honestly could be a win-win situation.
but I'm just talking about
Yeah.
purely significance of the game. I think that's how you lose the least amount of significance, and
Yeah.
you may even gain a little bit, because, like you said, I mean, if you
It'd probably
lose
be the
that,
only big game of the week, that week
right,
one. So I mean,
and you think we're fired up for the beginning of the season now. Think about how fired up both fan bases would be, and it's
yeah.
probably not good for either team, because I do think it's important to play a kind of a warm up game, or an almost
I mean,
guaranteed
you
win,
could make it
unless
the
you
first
play an
Big
at
Ten
state.
game of the season.
Yeah,
Don't talk about that on this podcast, please.
but at first Big Ten, first Big Ten game of the season, one or both teams could have a loss already, right? So maybe the significance is is degraded. I personally think that it would need to be the first game of the season, but there's a lot of pitfalls with that too. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's the answer. That's something that's popped up in my head.
Yeah, and I just I think it has to be. I don't think it has to be moved, but I think it does get moved, and I think it. I wouldn't mind still seeing it there
Yeah.
at the end of the year. I think it's even with it. I don't think it loses it just because these teams just fucking hate each other.
They do, but I just think, like I said in the opening of this part, is that, if one team has nothing to gain out of the win, then why not rest your guys, or why not, um, human nature. If hey, I already got the regular season conference lined up, why am I gonna risk things when all I have is nothing to
Oh,
lose?
that will be a cool aspect of this too that I didn't think about is that you'll have a regular season champ again, and you'll have fucking Big Ten, like the actual game champion.
Right.
That's cool, and I like that now. I'm glad that I just thought about that. You just said that because having the aspect of having, I mean, yeah, you're getting two. You have your kind of how it is in college basketball. You have your tournament champion, you have your regular season champion.
Right.
So I mean, that is. I didn't even think about that. That is a cool aspect of it too. About this, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more like it,
It's just part of the evolution, and I don't love everything that's happened. I've said that many times. I think that
I love the playoffs. I
yeah,
think that's
I love the
great.
playoffs, but I think the NIL was absolutely necessary. Just don't agree with the way that it's played out. It should have been,
No, yeah, give them $1,000 a game. Not we talk.
right.
Gosh, I
And
swear we talk
same
about it all
thing
the
with the
time. But
transfer portal. I don't think it should be limitless and lawless, and you should be able to entice other players to come for money, and that's why it shouldn't be a free agent type of deal. But the players deserved both of those things for many years, and you got to take the bad with the good. So um, it'll all work itself out. As I've said many times to you personally and on here, I just hate to see all of the things that make college football be affected by it.
yeah,
But change is necessary and change is great, and it'll all work out.
it will indeed. Um, we'll see how it goes. We're still. Did I announce last week spring games 420?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we
Good.
laughed about that.
Yeah. So spring game is on 420. Isn't that the same day as fucking? Well, I guess now it doesn't matter in Michigan, but that hash bashes is on 422 in Ann Arbor.
420, yes, sir.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, well, that place is gonna be a rolling.
It's gonna be a
But
massacre up there. It's gonna be horrible, traffic wise and stuff.
yeah, for
And then you
sure.
get all your blue hairs bitching about the pot smoke, but whatever.
Fuck them. But yeah, guys, like I said, we will probably be off next week, unless something big happens. We probably won't do a show. Just take a weekend off. Come back into it. Hopefully with some more updates on Michigan football. I don't know what. That's really it. Michigan basketball plays Michigan State tonight. One thing I like is that I read, and it's in the ticker. Javi Baez reported with pitchers and catchers this year.
Yep.
So hopefully it all pays off with, because I mean this is something you've heard about him all year. He's actually taking it. He's been working all off
Right.
season to get better.
It sounds like he's put in the work and he's doing everything he can on his end to get back to where he was.
I just hope
the
we
Red
see
Wings
that
give me
Elmago.
hope that the Tigers can maybe make a jump to playoff contenders.
Red Wings in a really tough ass stretch right now, and I'm fucking hating.
They are, and that's fine. But I think and I've always had trust in Stevie Y, but I think his plan is starting to bear the fruits of his labor, and I just hope that the Tigers are kind of trending in that direction too. I don't want to see the Tigers go through a season like we are with the Pistons. That's just a shit show, and it'd be nice to see some progress. I don't, not that they're going to be World Series contenders or anything, but I'd like to at least see them hang around like the 500 mark and
if the division goes how it did last season,
right.
we easily could have won the division last year. I think we were. I'd have to go back and look for sure, but I think we were only like 6.5 games out at the end of the year.
Yeah, I was gonna say 7 or 8.
It was a super like it was a very like if we would have played even a little bit better, we'd probably make the playoffs. So if we play even a little bit better this year, and nobody else gets better or stays about the same like the whole division, there's a chance. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm done getting excited. I mean, that's why. I mean, like I said, the Red Wings right now have lost 2 straight, but they lost to Edmonton, who's like honestly the best team in hockey right now. And
You're done
then-
getting excited, but the Tigers win 7 out of 10. You're gonna have them go to the World Series. Shut up.
We don't know that.
Oh, I know. All right, guys.
And then, like I said, they lost last night. But all right, guys. Well, we all have a good weekend. Enjoy it. Have a good week, and we'll see you probably in 2 weeks. Go Blues.
Hail.